I'm back. Apparently I didn't use up all my words, so I had to come and chat tonight. Church was so good. Our midweek study isn't on Wednesdays, it's on Thursday, and so our family is kind of nicknamed it Thirsty Thursday, because usually by Thursday we're pretty thirsty for the things of the Word of the Lord. And so tonight was really, really good, and there was something that was escaped my attention that I had never heard anybody teach on or call attention to, and so I was excited about it, and so I wanted to share it with you. So we're in Exodus right now at church, and we're getting ready to start Exodus in school too, so I like how everything's just tying together. But we were in chapter 8, and it's the point where Moses is already killed the guy, left to Midian, is now come back and is being a messenger for the Lord to set his people free. And he's gone back and forth to Pharaoh, and they're doing the, let my people go, and no, I don't want to, and you can go, but don't go too far, and the whole thing. So this is the part where he is telling Pharaoh that he's going to send the plague of the flies, which all of the plagues that Egypt was struck with were all like the frogs and the flies and all those things were images of Egyptian gods. So it was mocking all of the gods, all the fake pagan gods that they worshipped. So let's see, Exodus chapter 8, and this is Moses, the Lord talking through Moses to Pharaoh. It says in verse 22, "And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end thou mayest know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. And I will put a division between my people and thy people. Tomorrow shall this sign be." So the Lord's saying that even though there's going to be all these flies and stuff all over Egypt, in Goshen, where the children of Israel are, there isn't going to be any flies. He's going to have a demarcation, a division, how God's always called his people to be separated from the world, and how he's always wanting to make sure that there isn't a commingling of the things of the world and the things that are holy and the things that are sacred. Okay, so for those of you familiar with the story, as it goes on, even when there was that plague of darkness, it was really, really dark in Egypt, which is a picture of the world, but there was light where it was the children of Israel. And there's always that demarcation. What our pastor pointed out tonight was that word division in verse 23 actually means a redemption by means of a ransom. And that's what truly sets us apart as being grafted into the children of Israel, but God's people apart from the world, is that thing that separates the world from us, is we've been redeemed by a ransom, and Jesus was sent as a ransom for many. And it was just interesting to me that word, that division, that cutting, that separating of the two, that's really what sets Christianity apart from all other religions. Every other religion is man in his own effort and in his own strength trying to reach a holy and just God. And Jesus is the only one that says, you can't. I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to bridge that gap. I'm going to redeem you, buy you back by a ransom. I'm going to purchase you back. So then he had us flip over to 1 Peter chapter 2, and in verse 9 it says, "But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light." Now, every time I've ever heard this passage taught, it's always been like, hey, guess what? On your applications now, you can list your regular occupation, and you can also write you're a priest, you're a royal priest, because it says right here that we're a chosen people, or royal priesthood. So I can now write stay-at-home mom, and royal priest. So hey, that's my new job title. And that we are a peculiar people, quirky. I've always been taught, just to kind of look around and look at everybody, and it just goes to prove that that verse is true, that we are a peculiar people. And I'm definitely a peculiar people. And this was the first time that I'd never looked up that word. And so when he called our attention to it tonight, I was totally tickled, because that word peculiar, and since we are studying Greek root words, I will try to impress you with my Greek, non-existent Greek. It's peripoiesis, and it means to be acquired by purchase. So you have the Old Testament, which is the picture book for New Testament truths. You can't read one isolated without the other one. They go together. It's not like the Old Testament was for the past and now there's the New Testament. The Old Testament has all of those pictures and all of those types of all of the New Testament truths. So right there in Exodus, you have God saying that separation between the world and my people, there's a division there. There's going to be redemption by a ransom there. So that in the New Testament, you have Peter saying, we are a peculiar people. We are a people that are acquired. We're purchased, right? So the reason why I wanted to share that with you is tonight we were watching the 10 o'clock news, and since our oldest is about a month away from being 12, we let her watch regular network news. And as it goes with, as soon as your oldest starts doing something, then the others follow suit. So we all kind of sit there and we watch the news together, and we flip past the commercials and stories that might be too icky or whatever, and we sit there and we watch it with them. But that's been kind of a regular thing to do now, is watch the news. So they have this whole thing about everybody's going Christmas shopping, and they're doing all of their holiday whatever, and they're trying to have the special article on how to keep your purchases safe, right? So they're out in, I don't know, a parking lot at Walmart or one of the malls or whatever, and they're like, if you get your packages and you can't leave right then, you can put them in your car, but don't put them in the back seat. And they're actually showing cars, and they're videotaping their back seat. They have like all these purchases in there, and I don't know if they like set that up or if they just found a car that had stuff in the back. But they're like, if you're gonna put it there, put it in the trunk, but then move your car so people don't know that you're actually still, in a store with all your stuff in the trunk. And so the guy was, very, very serious about his holiday purchases, not wanting to get your car broken into and having your stuff stolen. And so he goes, the best thing that you can do is to get all your purchases and then go straight home. After listening to this teaching tonight at church, and then going and watching that news article, it just made me realize how much when we do spend our money on something, especially the more that you spend, the more precious that object becomes to you, and the more you do want to protect it, and you don't want it to be stolen. And that Jesus didn't buy us back with money. He bought us back with his blood. How much more precious are we to him because he bought us with himself, right? There was no swiping the MasterCard there. There was no writing out a check. He entered into our sin and took it. Not entering a PIN number, entering into our failings, our hurts, our wounds, and saying, I'll take those and I will switch places with you in the eyes of the Father. Since I have no sin, I can take yours because I am that spotless lamb. And so he switched places with us. And I know that, you know that Jesus did that redemptive work. It's why we celebrate his coming and his birth. It's not just because he was born, but the purpose of which he was born. He wasn't born just to be cute and laying in a manger with the little cows and the whatever. No, no, no. He came and was born so that he could enter into humanity and live that perfect sinless life that the first Adam is an Adam and Eve, failed to do, so that he would be that spotless lamb to take our place and to redeem us. So as I was watching the news articles, I thought, we go through these great lengths to guard our purchases. And someone had been taking the lights off of my mom's tree out front because there are these really cool bulbs that are round, these olive lights that we'd gotten years ago at Nordstrom when they went on sale. And you can't get the bulbs anymore. And there were these awesome round bulbs. And so she took them off and put them in the house because they're a treasure to her. She knows she can't replace them, and so she wants to keep the ones that she has. And so she took them off the outside tree and had Papa bring them inside the house because she wants to protect them. And I thought, if we do that with material possessions, which are going to get broken and fall apart and end up in a dump one day, how much does God guard us and treasure us? In Psalm 139 it says, that he thinks precious thoughts towards us that we can't even count. They're more numerous than the sands on the sea or the stars in the sky. If he loves us enough to purchase us, and if he loves us enough to guard and protect us as he's getting all of his purchases, so that we can go home, I can be confident that the Lord isn't looking at me when I still do fail regularly, that he's not going, where's my receipt? Because I think I'd like to take this one back and exchange it for another one. There's always that hesitation, that stray thought that just goes, Lord, I know that you bought me with your blood, but sometimes I get that thing that just says, maybe he regrets that he bought me. And it's not true. Truly, with the Lord, all sales are final. There's no returning. He's not regretful for purchasing me and for purchasing you. The Bible says that it was for the joy that was set before him that he endured the cross. Not that he had to and that he grudgingly went. Yes, he said, Father, if there's any other way, let this cup pass from me, but not my will, but yours be done. But he did it with joy in his heart, knowing that it was going to set us free, that even though we're in the land of Goshen and we're still here and we're not out free, that he set us apart and that there's a line that can't be crossed. No matter what plagues are hitting the world and are smiting the people that hate God and shake their fists, and people that put up signs at nativity scenes saying there is no God. How crazy is that on the news tonight? But that he has his protective hand over us, and that as soon as that last one comes to repentance and acknowledges Jesus Christ as Lord, he's going to take all of his purchases home. And I can't wait. And so as you go about doing your Christmas shopping in the next couple of weeks and preparing for this special time of year, I just want you to know and to be confident and be sure that God doesn't regret purchasing you, that he doesn't regret that he paid a heavy price for me and you, that he did it with joy, and that he has set us apart, and that he's covering us, and that one day, very, very soon, we're going to be able to go home to our true home in heaven. So I just wanted to say Merry Christmas and rejoice and use up the last of the however many thousands of words we women are allotted each day. And thanks for all of the encouragement, those of you that emailed me and made comments to do this. It gave me the courage to try it again. And I hope that it was a blessing to you, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks. Good night.